Hello everybody, I am here today to share with you my favorite books of 2021. So I've compiled my 15 favorite books of this year, and all of them are 5 stars, and I'm gonna share with you. So I'm gonna start with 15. 15 is Words on Bathroom Walls by Julia Walton. Never mind this cover. It's the cover of the movie. I hate that, but that's the only one I could find. I actually was recommended this book by a friend, and boy did it deliver. It's the story about, what's his name? Adam. Adam has schizophrenia, and he's just starting to deal with it, and it's just pretty much his day-to-day life, fighting his disease, and he sees all these hallucinations, and sometimes he doesn't know if things are true, if things are real or not. And it's also a romance, really well done. It tugs at your heartstrings a lot. It's really hard to let people see your fragile side, your vulnerable side, and I think that was so real and so reminiscent of some of my experiences. And I don't know, I think this was really well written. It's funny. The main character is pretty well developed, and this was really good. So for number 14, we have My Heart and Other Black Holes. This is in Portuguese, and I did sprayed edges myself, and I think they look pretty good. My Heart and Other Black Holes is about a girl, I forgot her name too, Hazel. Hazel has decided to commit suicide, and she decided on a date, and she's counting down to that particular date. And every chapter has like 14 days to go, 13 days to go. And she finds out this website where people can pair up to commit suicide, so that they can like make sure it happens and give the other support, so they actually do it. So she goes on this website, and she's paired up with someone who lives in her city, and this person is, don't remember his name either. I think it's Roman. So she gets paired up with Roman, and they start planning it. They start planning their doomsday, and it's kind of simple, and you would be like, yeah, obviously they fall in love, and that prevents them from killing themselves. It's like a girl is suicidal, she finds a boy, she's no longer suicidal. This book kind of has that trope, but it is pushed to something special, something so nice to read. I really felt really tenderly about this book. I think I related a lot to both the characters, especially Hazel. I know a lot of people don't read to relate, but I have the same. I do read to relate, not every time, but sometimes. And Hazel wants to kill herself because she really doesn't see the point in living, because she doesn't like her life, she doesn't like her job. She's really young. I think she's 17, 16. She doesn't have friends. She doesn't want to live. And with Roman is a very more complex story, because he wants to die because he wants to punish himself for something that happened. I love the ending. I know it's a book with a lot of tropes and things we've seen before, but it was, I remember it was something really needed at the time when I read it, and it read like butter. It was beautiful and really worth it. Hi, editing me here. As a dummy, I went from 14 to 12. So I ruined the whole entire video. But anyway, I'm just gonna put the actual number of the book, and I'm gonna speak incorrectly. Sorry. So now we go to number 12. Number 12 is Devil's Cub by Georgette Heyer. So Georgette Heyer for me is like an author that I can't really trust her. I either love her books or I just think they're meh. It's like there isn't a book that I like. I either love them or they're not good. So but she writes Regency romance, and Regency romance is the time of Jane Austen, and when you feel really like you miss it, like me, because I've read all of the Jane Austen books, you kind of want to get back into that a little bit, and Georgette Heyer is a good option for that, because she mainly writes Regency period romances. And this one is about your cookie cutter bad boy, the Devil's Cub, because his father is actually in another book that I didn't like. So this is about the son, and he's like just as bad as his father, but it was so good. It was so good, and I can't tell you, this relationship was very healthy, it's toxic as hell, but I loved reading this. It was an adventure. I couldn't stop reading it. I couldn't get my eyes off this book. It was thing after thing after thing after thing. It just kept going. It was amazing. So basically, there's these two sisters that kind of look alike, and there's kind of more plain, and she's more sensible. And then there's the other one who is like really beautiful, but like up for anything and just like reckless. So this guy, I forgot his name. This is gonna be a feature apparently in all those books. I forgot the name of everything of all. Okay, Dominic Alastair, Marquis of Vidal. He propositions the beautiful sister to be his mistress, because he doesn't want to marry ever, like ever. So he says, we're gonna go to Paris, because they live in England, and you're gonna have a awesome house. I'm gonna give you money. You're gonna be set for life. You're gonna be rich, a rich lady, and I'm gonna be your sugar daddy. And she was like, yep. But the sensible sister, who is Mary, she learns about this, and she's like, this man is a danger to my sister, and he's gonna, because this is Regency style, so if you showed your ankles, you're like a whore. So the sensible sister Mary is like, this is going to ruin her, and after this, no man is gonna want her, and she's never gonna marry, and she's gonna be a pariah, and I can't let that happen to my sister. So on the day that they planned on going, he said he was going to send a chariot to her house to pick her up, and instead of the pretty sister, Mary goes, like, she kind of puts like a veil in her face, and she goes in the place of sister, because she's like, I can deal with this guy. I'm just gonna say fuck you and go home. But when he discovers that the wrong sister is there, he's like, now I'm gonna punish you and I'm not gonna let you leave. And it's so wrong, but so fun. And obviously it's a romance, so they fall in love. Obviously the Marquis falls in love with the plain sister. But the thing about this book is the happenings. It's just one thing after the other. It's never dull, ever. So love this. Number 11 is It's Not Okay to Feel Blue and Other Lies by Scarlett Curtis. I read this in the beginning of the year, and it stayed with me. It's just a bunch of texts, and some are poems, some are essays uh, about their own experiences with depression and mental illness and anxiety, and it has all of these people giving their stories. So you got Ben Platt, Charlie Mackesy, Charlie Cox, Emilia Clarke, Emma Thompson, Matt Haig, Lena Dunham, Sam Smith, Naomi Campbell, Miranda Hart, just a bunch of people, and it's really eye-opening and a pleasure to read, because you don't think people like Emma Thompson has problems with anxiety or depression, and it just makes you feel less alone. And I really like books like this because it puts depression in the eye of the society, because it's something so taboo still, and there's this stigma still. And like, if you have diabetes, no one will bat an eye, but if you have depression, people are like, she's mad, crazy. So, you know, there's a whole bunch of preconceptions that people already have, and I think having these books that go to the center of the problem and exhibit depression, especially because you don't have to have depression to read this book. So I really like the fact that people will read this book and be more educated about it, and to see that it's something normal. It's a disease. Sometimes it's, I don't know if like anxiety can be deemed a disease, but it's something so many people have to deal with. And so all of these people who are like established and famous and seem to have it all, reading their struggles and how they go through it, and makes it so much normal, you know. And I like seeing that being normalized. I like seeing depression and anxiety normalized, because I am not anymore, but I used to be tired of being ashamed of having depression and not telling people and hiding all my scars and being really ashamed. But not anymore, you know. I'm like, fuck it, I have to deal with this. Like, a person has to deal with cancer, or a person has to deal with a broken leg. It's something you have to deal with. There's no other way to really go about it, and it's just as normal as a broken leg. Something humans have. So I like that it's coming out of the dungeon, the dark, um, and these books help a lot. So yeah. So number 10 is Under Rose Tainted Skies by Louise Gournow. This was also a recommendation and is also about mental health. It's about Nora, and Nora is agoraphobic, but she's like super agoraphobic. She is to the point where she can't step outside her porch in her house. She has to stay indoors at all times. So even her psychiatrists, psychologists, they actually treat her at home. This is another story about a girl meets a boy. A girl with mental health issues meets a boy. But it's, again, so much more than that, because it's not him that makes Nora evolve and face her fears. And I kind of see the romance as kind of a subplot. I see Nora's fight against her agoraphobia as the main plot and the main thing you have to pay attention to. Also, it asks like the question, how can an agoraphobic girl have a boyfriend? And that's interesting. Many pluses. Really loved it. Now for number 9. Number 9 is a Brazilian novel that I wanted to read for so long, so long, but I finally did it. I'm talking about As Três Marias by Raquel de Queiroz. So translating it, it's The Three Marys. So basically it's about 3 girls named Mary, and the constellation, the 3 Marys, the Orion constellation. They kind of each one of them kind of picks one of the stars to be represent them. And I love this book because it's so regional. Brazil is such a big country, and the things I've read are mostly like south, capital, like São Paulo stuff, and I live in the north, and this author was from my region, and I just rejoiced in seeing the way she writes with all the quirks of the way we speak, where we live, and the story about these 3 Marys is nothing special, but the way it's told is mesmerizing. I loved it. I loved it so much. It's basically a coming to age story. They meet at a boarding school, and it goes from there as they grow up, learning about love, romantic love, family love, themselves, and growing apart. You know, it's a really natural, real story, and you can kinda like see this happening. It's like it could be a real story. It could be a real life story. Anyway, it was fantastic. 13, 12, 11, 10. 9. I'm on 9. 9 is this is also in Portuguese, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't have any words inside. It's Cinema Panopticon by Thomas Ott. So there's this really cool publishing house here in Brazil called Darkside, and I just this year found out about them, and they make really beautiful books, and this one is from Darkside. And I was just kind of browsing their website, and this one was on sale, and it spoke to me, and I bought it. And it's kind of a classic to me now in like graphic novel, if this even can be called a graphic novel, because it's completely told in images, and there are absolutely no words. And the way this artist that I discovered through this book, and now I've read like I think 6 or 7 more books by him. The art he makes is like, I don't know, I think he must spend like a day in each like square, because he uses like a black paper and a white paper, and he goes with I don't know, a box cutter or a scalpel, and he takes away the white so the black shows, and that way he makes the illustration. So if you see closely, it's all you can see that it's all like cuts in the paper. So I thought his art style was amazing, and this story in particular is about this girl, and she goes to a carnival, but she only has 5 coins, and she wants like to play in this thing to win a teddy bear, but it's more than 5 coins. She wants to go on the carousel, but it's more than 5 coins. So she finally finds the Cinema Panopticon, and she enters it, and there are 5 I forgot the name of this thing that used to be really famous, and people, like, the first way people saw moving pictures, they would like take a bunch of pictures one after the other of a movement, and then they would put them really fast through the thing, and you would see, and it would be like moving. not just a static picture. Wait, I'm gonna find out the name of the thing. So this girl, she finally finds a place where she can use her 5 points. It's the Cinema Panopticon. So she enters it, and there are 5 kinetoscopes, and each of them is 1 coin, so she can watch all of them. And so basically, each of her coins is a different story that you get to see through the pictures, because there are no words. And they are bizarre, they are creepy, they are extremely unsettling. She keeps going, and she goes to the second one, and she goes to the third one, and she goes to the fourth one, and then on the 5th one she sees something that frightens her enough to leave running for her life. It was really interesting and really special, and I loved the art style. I loved the unsettling way these stories are told. Like, I've never been into unsettling things and horror, but I found that I really like the way this guy writes, because there's always a moral, like a really fucked up one, but there's always one. So I was really glad to find out about Thomas Ott, and as I've said, I read like 7, I think, other graphic novels by him. Some have words, but most of them are just images, which is awesome. Number 8 is How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. So Matt Haig, the first book I read by Matt Haig was The Midnight Library, and color me disappointed. It was so obvious and predictable and repetitive, and it was like, is this what people are raving about? Because people rave about Matt Haig all the time, like on YouTube and stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna give him a second chance, and I got How to Stop Time. I think it was on sale, I don't know. And it's about Tom. He looks like he's 41, but he's like 500, because he has this condition wherein he ages very slowly. It's not like he's immortal, but he ages very, very slowly. So he and his mother had to like deal with it in a lot of different ways, because it starts in Elizabethan England, and his mother has this kid, and he's 20, but he still looks 11, and people around are like, what's going on? So they had to move all the time because of this, and his life was never stationary. They had to keep moving, because people are gonna notice if someone is not aging. Anyway, it's an epic story. It like, now I get why Matt Haig is like a bestseller, because it's epic. As I said, it begins in Elizabethan England, and when the book starts, it's nowadays, and he looks 41. He says he's 41, but he's obviously not. And there's this whole like cult or group of people who have his same condition, and they have to keep it a secret, and it's a whole like big thing. And there's like the leader guy, and there's this woman who her job is to like kill people who suspect something about the people in the group that don't seem to grow old. He is just like Tom is just trying to live a normal life. He is, when the book starts, he is a history teacher in a high school, and what the leader of the group said is that you have a major advantage over everyone else. You can live for millennia. You can do things, experience things that no one else will. You can do anything. There's two things you can't do: tell people about our secret, and fall in love. Because if you fall in love, you're gonna create a bond, and that person is gonna be around you and realize you're not aging. So it's pretty much a solitary life. In this high school, he gets really smitten with the French teacher, and things go from there, and it's really, really good. So number 7 is a poet I discovered this year. The first thing I did was to buy a collection of his poetry, and I bought the selected poetry of Rainer Maria Rilke. It's pretty much awesome. I think poetry is always a hit and miss for me, because a lot of poetry is focused on nature, and that doesn't do it for me. I don't know why. If you go through like 6 verses talking about a nightingale and the brooks and the trees and the grass, I'm gonna be so bored. I don't care. That's why I didn't get really going with Mary Oliver, which people really love, and I get the appeal. I just don't like poems about nature. I just don't see the point. What I like is introspection, is poems about life, about people, about love, about death, about interactions, about human beings, about who you are, about the world, about stuff like that, you know? Introspection. That's why I love Sylvia Plath so much. Sylvia Plath will always be my muse. Rilke didn't take her spot. Sylvia Plath is a queen, but Rilke, he knew what he was doing. I mean, this I don't understand why all of his books, all that I have of Rilke, because after this I bought more, have the original German in one side and the translation in the other. So I don't know why, but I don't know, I just gobbled this up, and I was really glad to find a new poet that spoke to my soul and gave me feels. So I'm gonna read a little verse. So this is: straining so hard against the strength of the night, they fling their tiny voices on the laughter that will not burn. Oh, disobedient world, full of refusal, and yet it breathes the space in which the stars revolve. It doesn't need us, and at any time, abandoned to the distance, could spin off in remoteness far from us. See? See what I'm talking about? You who never arrived in my arms, beloved, who were lost from the start. I don't even know what songs would please you. I have given up trying to recognize you in the surging wave of the next moment. All the immense images in me, the far-off, deeply felt landscape, cities, towers, and bridges, and unsuspected turns in the path, and those powerful lands that were once pulsing with life of the gods, all rise me to mean you, who forever elude me. I relate Rilke. I haven't found him either. So yeah, awesome. The number 6 is more poetry. So this year I always also discover something which I don't know if I'm gonna sound really stupid, but I've heard people talking about sapphic love, sapphic romance, and I was like, what is that? See, I'm dumb. And I researched, and it's supposed to be referring to Sappho. And Sappho was a Greek poet in like AD or before Christ. Before Christ, like 600 before Christ. She was a poet, and I think that's so amazing. But she was born in the island that still exists in Greece called Lesbos. So anyone who is born on Lesbos is a lesbian. And she wrote a lot of lesbian poetry. So when they say sapphic, they mean lesbian. So I think that's really cool. And so I started with, like, I thought this was gonna be a tome, but it's like this. I really loved the introduction, which is like this. Just talking about her life and the story, the history of Sappho, and like 600 before Christ, she was a woman who was revered, and after her, all the other philosophers and poets refer to her with admiration, and that is so cool. And the trouble is that being so old, um, her poetry is mostly lost. So they say that only about 10% of her poetry is still alive today. It's like readable, because a lot of it is in fragments, and just a few of them are complete or semi-complete. So there's this book that's like fragments of Sappho, which is just literally papyrus that they got with like ripped papyrus with words here, words there, with from Sappho. And I really want to read that, just the fragments, because after this, I really loved it. She writes in a way that's like musical, because people say that in the introduction it said that these poems were mostly sung, so she used something like a lyra, I forgot the word of that thing. That's not a harp. And sang her poems, and they're about gods. They're about usually female gods, love, about female love, about male love, about sex, about war, about it's a plethora of things. And I just really enjoyed it. Let's give this one a try. Girls, because she used to have a school for girls, but it's not like a school we think about today. It's a school for like training girls in music and poetry and how to be a good wife and stuff like that. So, girls, chase the violet bosomed muses bright, gifts and the plangent lyre, lover of hymns. Stiffness has seized on these once supple limbs, and black braids with the passing years turned white. Age weighs heavily on me, and the knees buckle that long ago, like fawns, pranced nimbly. I've grown much, but to what end? Humans simply cannot be ageless, like divinities. They say the rosy forearm dawn, when stung with love, swept a sweet youth to the earth's rim, Tithonius. Even there age withered him, bound still to a wife, forever young. It's like you're immersed in a fairy tale. So this one is called Stung with Love, Poems and Fragments by Sappho. Next one is The Arrival. This one I don't have a physical copy. I read it on my phone, and it's another graphic novel without any words. It's just pictures, but the drawings are amazing. It's like magical realism, so they're weird animals. Like, it's supposed to be a normal life, a normal city with people, but there are a lot of weird stuff peppered around, like this weird animal and a woman selling like eggs like this size, and a really weird bird, and it's set to portray the confusion and the difficulties immigrants go through when they leave their country of origin and they go somewhere else, and the culture is different and the language is different, and he pictured it with all these weird things to symbolize this change, this discombobulation that immigrants have to suffer when they have to move. And it's really well told. The art is beautiful. It's heartfelt, it's sweet, also without words. Just the images mean so much. Awesome. So number 4, we're almost there. Number 4, I couldn't help it. I just love that so much. It's The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. This book made me so happy. It's been so long where I read a book that just made me feel happy inside. Just all fuzzy and warm. It's beautiful. It's so simple, but packs a punch. And it's supposed to be like a children's book with drawings like this, but I don't think children would get much of this. I think it's mainly for adults, and it's I don't know, it's just it's not like continuous. You could open it in any page and just read it and have a smile. And you know, I think this is one of those books that I'm gonna keep forever, and I'm pretty like 99.9% sure I'm not gonna have kids. But if I ever have a nephew, this is something I'm gonna wait till he's older and give it to him. It's something like ageless in the sense that 100 years from now it would pack the same punch. It's beautiful in every way. The illustrations are very simple, and the text is actually drawn. It's like written by the author, like with the paint. So this page is beautiful. It says the mole asks the boy, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And the boy says, "Kind." There's this one. what do you think is the biggest waste of time? And the mole says, comparing yourself to others. So it's just really simple things, but that is like warm, and you need to be reminded, you know. It's such simple things that you forget and you don't take into account in your life. So I think I read this book 3 times already in this year. So there's one that says, one of our greatest freedoms is how we react to things. It's so true. Oh, I love this one. Being kind to yourself is one of the greatest kindness, said the mole. Just read this. Just do yourself a favor and pick this up and have a mug of hot chocolate and enjoy. So now we get to my 3 favorite books. Number 3 is a very, very famous author of mystery that I've read so many books by her, but this one took the cake. It's And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This is genius. This left me with my mouth gaping. Like, it's fantastic. Basically, the story is about 10 strangers who are somehow invited to this house in a very small island. The invitation has only is signed only by initials, and most of the people have like, oh, that must be that person because of the initials. Most people have people they know with that initial, so they all go. And on the first night, recording starts saying that all of these 10 people are guilty of something. They have either killed someone or left someone to die or done something really bad. And everyone's looking at one another like, do I confess or no? So some people are like, this is crazy, I've never done anything. And some people are like, yeah, I left that person to die. So the next day, mysteriously, one of them died. And then it keeps going. Every day people keep dropping like flies, and no one knows who's the culprit because there are only 10 people in this island. No more. Only those 10 people. The end, it's something you would absolutely never in a million years guess. I just think this was her best work so far, and I've read like 30 Agatha Christie's. This was so well done. She was so intelligent. Like, you keep like, what? How? It's my favorite mystery by far. So in second place, it's the conclusion to I have to say, if not my favorite, my second favorite series of all time, and that is Kingdom of Ash. I finally finished it. There are 7 books. So I have this thing where if there's a book there that has a lot of characters and a lot of things going on, I forget the details. So this being one of my favorite series of all time, I did not want to go into the last book missing the details. So what I did was I reread all of the books this year, except the 6th one, because it's like in another like timeline thing. So I read 1 through 5 and I went to the 7th. And let me tell you, I was so nervous because I love these people so much. I've grown to adore these characters, and the story is amazing, and I don't care what people say about Sarah J. Maas. She is an amazing storyteller, and the things this poor girl had to go through in this book, dear Lord. But look at her. She's a queen. She is. Don't mess with her. Don't even think about it. Just I don't even know what to say. It was a perfect conclusion. Of course, some of our favorites died, because that's what usually happens in endings of series, even in Harry Potter. Throne of Glass is a story epic, so well told, so filled with crossroads, and you think this is it but it's not, and badass women like Manon. Love this. I can't say exactly what this book is about, but the first one, Throne of Glass, is about an assassin named Selena, and she has been working, I don't remember how long, like for a year or 2 years, as a slave in salt mines, because she has been caught. She was like a literal slave for hire, or assassin for hire, and she trained like since she was like 8 years old. She was like pretty badass, but then she was caught, and then one day the prince of the country, Dorian, goes to the salt mines and wants to speak to her, and he proposes that she participates in a competition that the royals are having with a bunch of brutes and assassins and criminals. So I think there are 12 people, and each person, like royal, picks one of these. So Dorian wants her to be his pick, and the one who wins and is alive in the end is nominated the royal assassin of the king. So she has the opportunity of leaving the salt mines and quit being a slave and participate in this competition. She could die, but if she wins, she's gonna be the assassin, the royal assassin to the king, and not be a slave anymore. So she says yes, and it goes from there. But that is just the first book, and that is like, if I can like calculate, like 5% of the story that this series encompasses, you know, like that is just the start of the goodness. It grows into such an epic story. I love it. Drum roll. My favorite book this year was a new author to me. I have never read any book by this author, but someone recommended to me, and I read it and I fell in love, and now I have like a bunch that I've bought and I've yet to read, and that is Ellen Hopkins, and the book is Impulse. I hate this cover because this book is so special and so beautiful and so gut-wrenching and amazing. It deserves a better cover, like, come on. But anyway, it is written in verse. I usually don't like books written in verse because more often than not they are just phrases cut down into verses. It's like prose cut down to form a verse. So that's usually what it is. But with Ellen Hopkins, it's lyrical, it's beautiful. It's not phrases cut down to form a verse. It is well crafted. She has a gift. It's quick to read because it's in verse, but there's some beautiful passages, and there's so many things that I relate to because it's also about mental health. And this thing that she says, I call normal gray, towing a straight gray line is all medication is good for. Yeah, because it numbs you. And it's just so well written, so beautiful. There's this part where she's talking about lithium, which I took, and she says nausea, diarrhea, tremors. I had that. Thick head, mouth like cotton balls. I need water and I need to lie down. It's just, forever has no meaning when you're living in the moment. I wasn't ready for the moment to end. I love this. I want to reread it. It's a duology. Actually, the second one is called Perfect, but it doesn't follow the same characters. It follows characters that are related to the characters in Impulse, and it wasn't as good. It was great, I gave it 4 stars, but this one was 5 stars. And if I would give it 6.5. I don't know. So the story in Impulse is about committed to a mental health hospital for different reasons. Mostly considering suicide. Their point of views of all of them, like you see, Connor. And so Connor actually tries to commit suicide. There's Vanessa and there's Tony. So it's basically their day-to-day life in this hospital. Their blossoming friendship and interactions and understanding of sucky places in their heads that they're dealing with. It's great because it also shows how depression can affect people depending also on their environment, if they have support from their family, if they don't, if they're rich, if they're poor, if they're a girl, if they're a boy. I think this was a masterpiece. The ending, I just closed the book and just stayed silent for like 20 minutes, just contemplating it. And it's sad. It's real sad. But it's true, you know? It's real, and it packs a punch, and I don't know what else to say. It's just, I don't know how Ellen Hopkins had such insight into depression and the things you feel and the things you think, and the medications and the side effects and the stigma and the isolation and abandonment. Because especially Connor is the rich boy who tries to commit suicide in this book, and he clearly sees all his friends, and he used to be like the most popular guy in his school, and suddenly everybody avoids him, and nobody wants to be seen with the crazy guy. So it's so real. It's an ode to people who suffer with this type of illness, and it was well done. It was beautiful. It was real. It was so well researched and beautiful. In its sadness, it was beautiful. and that's my favorite book of the year 2021. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Soon I'll be making my video for the worst books in 2021, so look out for that. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, an awesome week. Stay safe. I love you, and bye bye.